What's up, YouTube? On the previous video, we saw how to enable NAT so that the devices on the local network could access the internet by hiding the private IP to the outgoing interface or the one interface on the firewall. With that option, we have to enable NAT directly on the firewall policy. Well, FortiGate has another option to enable NAT, and that is referred to as central NAT. At the end of the day, they achieve the same goal, that is to use NAT, whether it's source NAT or destination NAT, but they just provide different ways of doing it. Let's create a policy now before making the changes so that we can see the steps required, and then we're going to enable central NAT. Now, if we look at the policy and objects, at this moment I don't have any policy in place, so which means that my PC shouldn't be able to access the internet. So we're going to create a basic policy. We're going to name this policy as LAN to internet, and the incoming interface will be port 1, that's my LAN interface, and the outgoing interface will be port 2. Now the source, I'm going to create an object that's going to be and it's going to be my subnet, the /24. I'm going to create the subnet 1065.74.0/24, and we're going to save this object and set as the source for this traffic, and the destination we're going to select all. As for the services, we want to select HTTP, HTTPS, and DNS. Okay, and we're going to enable NAT, and we're going to use the outgoing interface. It essentially means that the LAN network will be seen as the outgoing IP on firewall 1, in this case the IP that is assigned on port 2. So we want to save this. Okay, and if we test again, we should have internet access moment, and you can see that we have access. Now let's enable central NAT and see how it differentiates from this method. So we go to system settings, and here in the middle we want to enable central SNAT, and we want to save this change. Now if we go to policy and objects, there is a new option here, and before we get into that, let's take a look here. So our policy now looks different. If we open to edit, we see that central NAT is enabled, so NAT settings from matching central SNAT policies will be applied, and we no longer have the NAT option directly on the firewall policy. Okay, so let's save this and go to central SNAT, and this is where we have to place the NAT rules. So let's create a new rule, and we're going to select the incoming interface to be our LAN port, so that should be port 1, and the outgoing interface will be WAN port or port 2. As for the source address, is the same way we did on the firewall policy, and we're going to select the object we already created. As for the destination address, we're going to select all. You can see that NAT is selected, and we're going to use the outgoing interface address, and we could use the same, or we can like create a dynamic IP pool. For instance, let's create one real quick, and let's name this as my PC, and let's use the one-to-ones. So the external IP address will be it should match the subnet on port 2, so it's 192.168.8.10 because that's my internal IP address. Okay, and we're going to choose this and we're going to save and add these as the external IP address to be assigned to my internal PC. And we want to close and save this NAT rule. It's very similar to the firewall policy rules. The benefit is that we have more control to how we want NAT to be enabled. So let's try to access the internet again, and we can see we have internet access normally. And that's how we enable CentralNet. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.